Reclam genties and ladlemen, it is in fact your boy, Sir Edward, and welcome to episode 11 of Cracking the Shell. I know, they let me make another one. Thanks, Dad. On this episode, we have Aidan from the band Mutalith. How's it going, Aidan?
Right, it's good, man. Thank you for having me on. And yeah, I've been watching the show for a good few months now, and I'm quite excited to be here.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for watching, genuinely. It makes me happy that it's not just me checking to make sure it's uploaded. That makes me
Yeah,
feel
it's,
better. I'm
I
really
mean,
glad.
in this scene, it's like having people do things other than just bands is fucking is great. Am I allowed to swear on you or sorry?
You're fine, mate. You're
Right.
fine.
But no, like having people do things other than just bands and whatnot, it's needed, but nobody necessarily thinks of it. So it's great what you're doing, and yeah.
No, thank you. Genuinely, thank you for the really kind words. Well, you know pretty much how this goes. Before we talk about Mutalith and what you're doing now, and I know you've got some cool stuff coming up, we're gonna rewind the clock a little bit and find out about how we got here. Kind of how you grew up, found metal, your first bands, learning to play, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So for me, I've always kind of grown up in a pretty musical household. Like none of my family were really musicians, but
Hmm.
like from a really young age, a band that I now hate to this day, but like I loved them back when I was really young was Oasis, and my stepdad used to put Oasis on in the car, and I would absolutely love it. For Mainly for me, I think it all started like I had a Nintendo DS when I was really young and whatnot, and my dad gave me an SD card, and in his stupidity, he forgot to clear it, and it was full of music, and I was just everything from like Sex Pistols to Iron Maiden to like just amazing bands that like the very good beginner bands as well, and
Hmm.
then there was some more underground stuff. My dad was a really big fan of ska, so that was like one thing that was really heavily put onto me of like Madness and the specials and
Hmm.
whatnot. But I think for metal, it really started with Maiden. Um, and from there it just progressively got worse.
Well, worse for everyone else, but obviously better for people like
Yeah.
us, right?
Oh no, I'm so passionate about this entire scene and whatnot, but it's like
Hmm.
for me, I was very fast moving when I got into metal. It was from about the age of 7, it was Maiden, and then when I reached about 10, I was like uh, just discovered like Motorhead, which is to this day my favorite band of all time. The rest of the band can all attest for this. I beg for Motorhead covers every time we have a show, and it never happened.
Oh, it reminds me, I have a story about Motorhead. My first concert ever was meant to be Motorhead Saxon and Girls School.
That is a
That
hefty
was meant
lineup.
to be the first one. I got the tickets for Christmas, and guess what happened 2 days after Christmas? You know, the worst
Yeah,
thing in the world happened. It's like, well, shit, Lemmy's dead. Motorhead's not continuing. There goes that plan. I obviously went to concerts after it, but that would have been the best first to have.
yeah. I mean, when I was talking to Zara from the band Reeking Joy, like
Mhm.
Dundee hardcore band, um, she was the one that produced the EP for us, and we were talking about Motorhead, and she had tickets to, I think she said it was Download, and it was when Motorhead were meant to be headlining it, and then Lemmy passed,
Yeah.
and they just had to scrap that. But yeah, for like Motorhead was a big game changer band for me. I never really hit a phase where it was like Metallica, Megadeth, Slipknot. I skipped over those bands. I knew who like Metallica and whatnot were for
Yeah, for
ages,
better or
but
for
like
worse, you can't escape it, can you?
no. But like for me, it was. Motorhead, and then deathcore. It was like
That gets a
just
thumbs up from me. That absolutely gets a thumbs up from me.
I I'm like a very hardcore and punk orientated, like roots and whatnot. That's like the main thing that I discovered.
Hmm.
But like metal is still my one love.
Definitely.
Um, but no, I started doing guitar lessons and whatnot, and picked that up when I was about 11, I want to say.
Hmm.
So that's 8 years of guitar now. Um, and yeah, I started doing guitar lessons with Danny from the band Oceans on Fire. Amazing metalcore band from Fife. I love those guys with all my heart. The band wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Danny. He was the one that helped all of us fuse together.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, from there it pretty much went the same as what Callum said in the last episode of like you just look for what's faster, what's heavier. And eventually I got to the point where I was listening to like gore grind and gore noise and convincing myself it was good for the
Yeah.
sake of it's
It,
heavy,
it
so it
is
must be
good,
good.
right? It must be good, even though it is literally just
Yeah.
wah, wah, wah. You know,
Oh,
it's just stupid frog noises, but it's fine because frogs are great,
yeah,
and it's got slam
exactly.
riffs, so I'm here for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a weird one where like I'm not a huge fan of slam, but I really, really appreciate it. It's like
You like the riff, it's just everything surrounding it that's like, I could do without.
yeah, yeah, sort of. But no, it just became let's chase the heaviest thing I possibly can, and
Yeah.
from there, like some of my favorite bands are like Full of Hell and Nails, and like first band that Mutalith covered live was Nails. Um, yeah, and it's just from there progressively gets worse and worse from here.
Yeah, I mean, worse for everybody else, but again,
Yeah,
better for us. I quite like Full of Hell as well. I went to their show last year and I really
I've
loved
missed
Antichrist
it.
Siege Machine.
Yeah,
Holy fuck.
I ended up missing it because it was my first day of the term at college and ended up not being able to.
Yeah. No, your studies are always more important than any concert. Can you tell I'm lying?
I dropped
Fuck
out within
that.
the last 2 weeks.
Oh, it was worth it then. It's fine. No, you'd love Antichrist Siege Machine.
Oh yeah,
It's
they're
just fucking. I don't know if you've ever watched the drummer live, but the speed he was going while also doing vocals, it was frightening. Because this man's
yeah,
blasting at near like 300 BPM and singing, and he's just rigid like this, blasting, doing vocals. And I'm just sat there going,
yeah.
but
The
holy
in my
shit, it's amazing.
opinion, the most impressive thing you can do as a musician is do vocals and play drums at the same time. For one of my college performances, one of the guys that we know went and had to do that because nobody else would do vocals in that band.
Yeah.
And I don't know how people go about doing it.
It's something that I've always wondered because I like bands like Autopsy and Mastodon. Both of them have drummers slash singers. Especially
Yeah.
like Autopsy and like Mastodon as well, because they've got all these weird like Portnoy-esque drum fills and stuff like that. On top of him being such an incredible singer, how the fuck? You know what I mean? That's
Oh yeah.
constantly something I'm wondering, and I want to see Mastodon live soon. I really want to see them live.
Yeah. A big one where it's like it's still impressive, but like I can understand it more is Exciter with their vocalist and like
Yeah,
yeah, he does the same, but because it's speed metal, it's all saying the same beat pretty much.
yeah,
It's
basically.
still very, very impressive, but it's like you're just riding that same beat for most of your songs. So yeah, you're gonna get used to that at some point.
Yeah, pretty much. But being able to do it consistently as well as keep up vocals, which is of course taxing, is a talent in and of itself. Because I would rather have a drummer play the same beat but it be consistent than somebody try and be Mike Portnoy and do all these fucking stupid fills and not nail it a lot of the time.
Yeah,
Consistent
yeah.
people a consistent beat will always be better for a song than somebody trying to do some stupid fill or skip or whatever. I'm not a drummer. I don't know. I already feel Luke yelling at me in the DMs. It's fine though. I can hear him screaming at me, but
Yeah.
it's fine. So
No, it's drums are like my first instrument was I wanted to do drums and then somehow I fell into doing guitar because drums are loud.
drums are loud
Um,
and there's a lot to carry and you don't want to haul all of that everywhere.
oh, for like before gigs, there was one time our drummer went, I'm gonna go and get money from the bank machine. Can you carry my stuff up? And me carrying my pedal board, my guitar, our other guitarist pedal board, cymbals, snare, and a double kick like pedal. I was nearly in tears by the like hitting. It was 2 streets away, and I was nearly in tears at the amount of pain that was going through my body because of everything you need to carry.
Hmm, I can only imagine. Which extra special shout out to anybody that is able to employ a crew and any
Oh
techs to
yeah,
do all that kind of thing for them. Give them
yeah,
a raise because the shit that they have to carry and the back pain and everything else, it ain't worth it. It ain't worth it.
yeah. For when we played with Sunken back in May, one of my mates offered to roadie for us. He was like, "You only need to pay me like the what was it you wanted? It was a copy of Skyrim." Because the boy is a
Incredible.
weirdo and he has a massive collection of copies of Skyrim for the Xbox 360, and that was his payment. But he, we didn't believe me of like amp heads are heavy, drum stuff is heavy. You're going to have struggled to take this to the venue.
Hmm.
We got everything out of the car, picked up, and he was like, "Yeah, you weren't lying." And
Hmm.
then we figured out like little hacks of yeah, don't hold things by the handle, actually lift them from the bottom, and it makes it so much easier. But it's still ridiculous.
It is. If you ever end up working somewhere where there is a lot of heavy lifting, they will teach you the proper techniques to do it. A lot of them say, lift with your legs, not with your back, that kind of thing. That's
Yeah,
definitely something I think a lot of people need to look into because it's the not so glamorous side of music that nobody pays attention to. Like, yeah, you get to play to dozens, hundreds, thousands of people, but it's also hauling everything into the venue, upstairs, especially if you're in somewhere like Cat House, which nice little segue into
yeah.
August 14th with Bronak and Sai. That's a
Yeah, we have no idea how we managed to get that show. It was a complete surprise. Psy is one of my all-time favorite bands. I mean, we've played 6 shows.
yeah,
We're a very, very new band. And the fact that we've been like really lucky enough to play with Devastator and Sunken and like Devastator is one of my all-time favorite thrash bands. Sunken is amazing atmospheric black metal, and then Psy is just incredible weird stuff.
yeah, that actually sums
And
up Sai perfectly.
yeah, but like I I'm very, very grateful because when we started this band, we had no clue on what we were doing and the direction it would go. I do feel, and I think a lot of the band would agree with me. I feel like if we weren't have that sort of black metal edge, we wouldn't have gained much more attraction
Mhm.
than we have. I feel like if we were like metalcore, deathcore, death metal or something, we'd still be a
Yeah.
little bit more on the lower side. And like,
Hmm.
we're not huge by any means, but like, it's mental the fact that I can go on our Spotify and be like, oh, 100 people have listened to this in a month. Wow.
Yeah. It's the same parallel with me and like doing episodes of this. Like I went onto the channel yesterday and I'm looking at like all the episodes that I've done and it's like what the fuck 120 people viewed this? Why? Why? Have you not
Yeah.
got an hour to kill doing something else productive?
Yeah. No, like, I'm so grateful that like people can actually listen to us and be like, yeah, these are really cool. I do
Yeah.
love going on Spotify and like, okay, who's our top listener and realizing it's our vocalist. That's always funny to me.
It's like
Um,
it's like because like he's listening to your band on Spotify. You're obviously getting the tiny pennies from Spotify. That's a whole other thing, and it's like government paying the government. I
yeah,
use my government check to pay a fine. Government paying the government. It's
yeah,
great,
exactly.
but still cool. And I listened to the EP yesterday, and as much as like if all of the styles of metal were laid out in like a big buffet table, like some kind of Cosmos type shit, and there was like black metal, death metal, metalcore, deathcore, whatever. I'm not the hugest fan of black metal. I still like it. There's a lot of bands I like, but it's not the first thing I grab. It's like it's not the first thing I think of when I grab my phone and I listen to music. I'm
Yeah,
not like, oh, I want to hear some black metal today. But checking out the debut EP, it's you can tell it's definitely a first EP, but you're
yeah,
definitely along the right lines, and the production I think is perfect. You've really
yeah. I
nailed it.
mean, that was the first time in the studio for a lot of us. I had done stuff at college. Our old guitarist Jay, he'd done stuff at college. 'Cause we went to college together and whatnot, and that's about it. It's like that's as far as everything went.
Yeah,
When it came to writing the music and whatnot, we're all such varied styles and whatnot that like the first thing we said when we formed the band is, okay, we want that black metal edge because Jamie, our vocalist, has that
he
vocal
does.
range.
He
He,
definitely does.
yeah, that's like he is a complete black metal head, true to that. And like myself, I'm just everything. I love almost all subgenres of metal. Black metal I would consider my favorite, but I love thrash. It's probably a very, very close second. Death metal is one of my all-time favorite genres as well. And like I'm very heavily like in the hardcore scene as well, hence why like the band gets so many hardcore shows. And I love that scene and love those guys so much. And just yeah, so it's like we wanted that sort of edge to it as well. Jay, our previous guitarist, was very, very proggy, hence why like Demised, if you listen to the drums for the breakdown, the like time signature alternates constantly between 4/4 and 5/4, and that like I disappeared for a session, came back and like, why is their time signature changing? And then Liam joined the band, who's our drummer, and he's like just sat in the first practice going, yeah, this isn't in 4/4, and we're like, I'm saying it's
We
not, and
know.
everybody else is saying it is. And then we eventually counted it out and went, yeah. So like watching him for the first few practices of like you can see the cogs turning in his head as he tries to count which beat we're on and whatnot. So like we don't really want to be black metal, but we
Yeah, you
still
don't
like having
you
that.
you dip your toes into a bunch of different genres, but you're not going to dive head first and into the deep end of a particular one. And I think that that's something that's really commendable. I love when genres fuse together. I mean, obviously you've
Mm,
got stuff like black and death metal and black thrash and death thrash and like Death Doom is another one of my favorites. Stuff like Coffins, Asphyx, Paradise
yeah,
Lost. I love that kind of stuff. And I think that it's a lot more interesting when you combine certain styles and genres than just kind of, I suppose, being bog standard. Not the best way to put it, but kind of sticking to one style as opposed to doing the like the Motorhead AC/DC thing where everything sounds the same every album.
yeah,
And I definitely think that that mixture of influences is something that you should explore more in new releases. Especially like
yeah,
I can just imagine having a really atmospheric true cult black metal part, and next thing you know, here's a hardcore fight riff.
yeah.
I'm
There
in. I'm
there
in.
is there is for like our next single, which we want to do, we've played live a bunch, is just straight thrash. Like it comes down to I wrote this riff and I just wanted to put it forward to the band, and they just went,
Okay.
okay. And then our new guitarist Gregor, he's joined and he's come in from playing in a punk band. He played in the band Aftershocks. He was doing drums for them, and then we stole him. Um, and he just came into the band with like these guys wouldn't let me do this and wouldn't let me do that because they wanted to be more punk influenced. So here's metalcore, here's thrash, here's everything. Like take all of what I've got for you. And like within the first few weeks of him being in the band, it's like, okay, you've sent us 8 demos for like new songs. Calm it
Man,
down.
man's just written the album. It's all right, lads. I've done the album. It's fine.
Pretty much.
But that
And
work that work ethic is commendable, honestly.
oh yeah, I
Especially
mean
because
he's
on the
got
last episode I was talking with Ollie from Big Iron and Disposable, and
yeah
they're just like, yeah, Billy wrote the album. That's it. Billy wrote the album. It just comes down to like that one guy, but that work ethic, that's really gonna help, I think,
yeah.
for sure.
Like we just finished writing a new song and we're going over it in the studio currently to get it ready for Sai.
Mhm.
And um it's like goes from like weird atmospheric black metal and then has a bit of like a metal corey tone to it as well. Um, but it's like we wanted to have it. So I wrote most of the riffs on it, and then I came into the studio and was like, "Here's my riffs for the album, like for the song. Uh, Gregor, you write your part, and like Jordan, bassist, he just kind of does what he's told because that's his.
That's what bassists need to do. Just sit there and
He,
do as you're told. You're not Mike Matt. You're not shit. I've already forgotten his name from the guy from Dream Theater. How the hell did I do that? I'm an awful human being. You're not John Mayung. You don't get to be the leader. No, sit down.
yeah, when Jordan joined the band, they came from being in the same like guitar lessons and whatnot, like me and Jay uh and he just kind of Danny messaged me and was like, Jordan bought a bass. Do you want him? And I knew Jordan from like working in the same shop that they do the lessons out of.
Mhm.
Um, so I was like, I know him. He's hilarious. He's like one of my favorite people to talk to. Yeah, bring him in. And he joined, and he was like, I can't learn stuff by ear. I know very little about music theory. I've just learned how to play bass. He was already a guitarist, but he's like, I'm just learning how to play bass.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm just going to be the most low effort bassist possible.
That's every black metal bassist that's fine.
And yeah, that's pretty much what we said to him. We're like, you will honestly be fine. And picked up the first song so easily, picked up the second one, third one on the EP, The End is Near. We still hate it. We wrote the song and then like every time we play it live, we're like, yeah, can we just
No.
be over with this?
Can we write new stuff so we don't have to play this one? It's terrible.
It works for like the concept of the EP, and we're like, right,
Mhm.
that is it's great. It works for that because I was going through like a really big funeral doom phase, and
I could
then
definitely tell listening to it, but I like Funeral
yeah,
Doom, so it's fine.
yeah, but there's like every time we play it live, it's just
I
can
know
we
it's like,
not?
Jesus Christ, where's the next note?
Yeah, and especially because we've got the more progressive sort of elements. It, parts repeat and then parts don't repeat where they should, and then I was like, when writing it, we are just like, yeah, this
Yeah,
makes
this is
no
better.
sense. We can't figure out the structure at all while playing it. We'll just wing it. And now we have enough songs that we never have to play it live. I mean,
Well, there you go.
I put a poll up on the band Discord to ask what's the final song we want on the set list for Psy, and added that just to laugh when nobody added it.
Oh, good. No one wants to hear this. Thank God, because we don't want to fucking play it.
And like some of the reviews we've got, it's like, oh yeah, The End is Near is like one of the best songs on this EP, and I'm like,
No, it's not, bro. No, it's
really?
not. It's really not.
I was like, I love the song. It's a good song, and it came together quite well, and it works for the EP. But it's like if I could never hear it again in my life, I would very much happily do that.
Yeah, I imagine like Europe would feel the same about the final countdown,
Yeah.
or like Metallica about Enter Sandman or something like that. Just like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
we know you love it, but we hate it. Can we stop? Can we please stop? But no, it's gonna be. I saw you guys with Devastator. That was it was a good show. I definitely enjoyed it. I was just not in the right state of mind mentally. Like you know how it is.
Yeah.
You're not in the right state of mind, which is why I
I
probably looked
mean,
a little bit more dead inside than usual. But
yeah, I
no, I
that show
definitely
was a
enjoyed it for sure.
the Devastator show was a massive struggle for me because
Mm,
without getting into too much personal shit, my
mm.
dad had died like a week prior.
Oh fuck.
And yeah, so I was like
Yeah,
we
you're
pretty
not
much
in the right
came out
thing. Yeah.
came out the hospital after watching that and then just like went to practices and the entire time
Hmm.
like my mind's not on practicing, my mind's in a completely
Yeah, of
different
course.
place.
It would be. Absolutely. And
Yeah,
there's
and then we
nothing wrong with that.
got to the show, spoke to both of them. They were absolutely lovely. Spoke to the guys in Devastator. They were so welcoming and so lovely as well. And we played, and it was probably one of our better ones that we've done so far. It was Gregor's first show with us, so that
Mhm.
was a really fond memory. Um, but like, yeah, sometimes in shows it's like I'm perfectly there for it. Sunken was one of them where like I was so in the mood to get up and just have so much fun. I think it was my first show when I had a wireless, so I was like, okay, I'm
Ah,
ready
you
to
can
like
move about and stuff, and
I can
you're not
spin
just
kick
stuck near
people
your
while
amp,
playing.
you know?
Yeah, I was like I could finally go and like spin kick someone while playing live.
Here's a
But
true cult circle pit. Let's do it.
but no, it's like some of the shows I've had I'm like absolutely terrified and the other ones I'm like, yeah, it's whatever. I've noticed it tends to be the bigger ones that I just don't really care as much. Not that I don't care, but like I'm not as nervous.
Mhm.
It doesn't sit on my mind more. And then like we'll go and play Grey Lodge in Dundee, which is a community centre with the hardcore kids. And it's I'm sitting there shitting myself and I'm like, I just want this to be over.
Yeah.
But shows are weird, they vary.
Yeah, it's something that I've always wondered to be, because obviously I'm there as a spectator, I'm there as a fan. I've always wondered kind of the mindset and the feelings of being on the stage. It's something I've always wondered, and it's really cool to get an insight with that. And I suppose there is a
Yeah.
kind of a security in playing the big shows, like for example, again, August 14th, Cat House with Sai and Bronak. That's going to be great. Get your tickets now. Um, there's this kind of security there because you know that the world's not on your shoulders because you're not the big name in the poster. You're not the
Yeah.
one that everyone's there to see. It's more of it's like a nice little appetizer before the main course. And
Yeah.
I know that it's definitely going. I think it's going to be a great show.
Oh, I'm
It's such a great lineup,
buzzing for
and
it.
it's going to be like lots of different types of a similar style, which is something that. And I was talking to, I think it was Ollie or Callum or somebody, where I had watched a video from Archspire guitarist Dean, and he talked about how they put together the lineup for their last European headliner, and they took inspiration from Despised Icon, where they have support acts that reflect a different element of the headliner. And I think that
Hmm.
Psy having you guys there kind of represents their more weird kind of genre amalgamation side, whereas Bronak,
Yeah.
as much as I've not listened to a lot of them, definitely has that more kind of raw, more visceral side that a lot of Psy's early works
Hmm.
has. Not so much their later stuff, which their later stuff is still great. The last album I really liked.
Yeah.
Um, but that kind of thing, it means that it's something still different, but it's not just all the same thing. And then by the time you get to the headliner, especially when you're someone like me, who is, I mean, I say getting on in years, I'm not even 30 yet, but it's like getting so much of the same thing, it gives you ear fatigue, and you're just like, I want to go to bed. I just want to go to
Yeah.
bed, you know? But no, it's really cool that you're getting to play all of these really sick shows, and I
Yeah.
definitely think it's only going to get better from here. I think that that sci show is definitely going to expose you guys to a newer audience, and it's an audience that I think you
Hmm.
deserve, for sure.
Thank you. That means a lot. But like, yeah, no, I agree with like it's good that it's like the same style of metal but very varied. Like I've been talking a lot in preparation for the show and whatnot to the guys from Bronat, specifically Mitchell. And as much as I love the guys, and I'm going to be brutally honest here, I'm very picky with black metal. First time I heard Bronak, I went, "This is ass. I'm switching this off." And then I re-listened when we got on the bill with them. Like, right, I've actually spoken to them now. I want to see if I like this more, and
Mhm.
I do.
Yeah.
Um, but the first time I listened to it, I was like, yeah, this is like too raw and like just standard black metal for me.
Mhm.
And then I know those guys are like now moving a bit more with like synth and whatnot and doing that. I don't know if they'll do that at the show. Hoping so. Um, but like yeah, it's gonna be a really good one either way. It's nice to see the actual progression of it and the fact that we get to now go and see a band for free as well is always a bonus.
That would honestly be that'd be the main reason why I get on and play shows. It's just like, oh, you want to support this guy and see him for free? Fuck yeah. You know? I
Oh
would
yeah,
fucking
like
love that.
when we got added to Hordes X, the Dundee Metal Festival, I already wanted to go because I've been like the last 3 or 4 times,
Mhm.
and then I saw that they're branching it out more and it's over more days, and I looked at it and went, can my bank account handle this?
It's a
And then
constant struggle.
yeah, and then I ended up messaging the guys when they were like, we need more bands. They took us on pretty much straight away, and I was like, great, now I don't need to pay for this.
There you go. There you go. See, it works out for everyone in the end. It's just like, yeah, guys, we need more bands. I'm in a band. No, it's really cool to kind of hear the humble beginnings and where things are at now. I love hearing those kind of origin stories, and I'm very lucky to have the guests that I've had, especially those
Mhm.
ones that are in bands that are just starting out or just kind of getting their big break. Like again, for example, bands like Tyrannus, Operation Cunt Destroyer, which I imagine me telling you, no, you can't swear, and then I say cunt. It's
Yeah,
great. I was saying that about the Jordan Buns episode. It's like, yeah, it was great saying cunt 20 seconds into the video. There goes any chance of monetization, which none of this is monetized. At least
yeah.
I've not got the raid sponsorship not got the raid sponsorship yet. I've not got a Ridge wallet. I've not got NordVPN. It's not yet anyway. But
It's coming.
it's coming. Use code BALDY for 10% off your order. But no,
But no, like
it's gonna be cool. It's
I
cool.
like I like the fact of especially all the new bands that are coming out of the scene. I don't really talk to a lot of them like I should.
Mhm.
Um, but like the fact that we've kind of growing into the scene with bands like Jaundice and Luxera, Gaslight and Doppelganger, um, and like those bands and whatnot. And like it's really good that we can now
Mhm.
have the newer bands coming in because I was talking to Drew from Catalysis and he was like, it's getting scary because all of those guys are getting into their 30s and whatnot, and they're like close to reaching the end of like their bands being bands,
Mhm.
and there for a long time there was no new bands coming in, and then after COVID, everyone's obviously picked up instruments and gotten really into metal and
Yeah,
whatnot, and then just flooded in.
definitely. I have noticed that, and I think I brought it up in the Tyrannus episode, but
Mm,
there was a few Scottish metal bands that did kind of form the bedrock of the scene. I mean, Party Cannon, prime example, Scordatura, there's another one, bands that are no longer with us, like Cerebral Bore and all that.
mm,
But definitely after COVID, it's just exploded to the point where it's getting attention outside of just Glasgow. Like Metal Hammer did that article in it a few months back, and
yeah,
then Devin from Sanguisugabog at the Sanguisugabog show when they supported Suffocation back in February, shouted out like Penny Coffin and It Was Savagery. So it's getting spread. And this is how it
Yeah.
starts. And it's really cool to see it in the modern age where if we were doing this, 30, 40 years ago in the 80s and 90s, you wouldn't have had like podcasts, you wouldn't have had vlogs, you wouldn't have had so much content so easy to get. It's like
Hmm.
people like me doing this, and there's a bunch of YouTube channels and all that, and it's like Noah with their photographs. It's so
Yeah.
easy to see, and it's almost a natural evolution of stuff like zines and fanzines and like radio shows from back in the day, and that's something that I definitely want to mirror. There is that element of, we're going to promote the thing, but there's also I like just the kind of casual banter and conversation. It's fun and
Yeah.
it's cool to just kind of, I mean, the name of the show, Cracking the Shell, is not just because I'm bald. It's more just the kind of get to know people as people, because you see them on stage. Obviously not everybody is going to be the exact same off stage that they are on stage, because you're a performer up there, you're there to entertain. But when you're off the stage, you're just a human being like all of us.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool to get to know people and how their stories as well, especially like hearing Jod's story, for example, of how he just kind of ended up playing bass and joining a band, and same with like Rory from Void Slaughter. He
Hmm.
just kind of got given the microphone, and well, here he is now. Just that kind of thing. It's really cool to hear those stories and hear how everybody else got into the scene as well, because it's
Yeah.
something that's growing, and I definitely think it's yet to reach its peak. It's going to
Yeah.
get there, and I think
A
it's going to
couple
get there
of
soon.
a couple of like my favorite episodes of yours was like the guys from Party Cannon and whatnot, for
Mhm.
the reason of like they're such a joke band that like I couldn't really find anything on how they actually formed as
Hmm.
a band. It's like everything's just so
Yeah,
not
Metal
serious and
Archives
it's
only tells you so much.
yeah. So it was good to see like because in my head it's Party Cannon for a lot of other younger people. It's like Party Cannon's the first. Oh wait, they're Scottish, and then you get really
Yeah,
into it,
yeah.
and um, just it looks like they came out of nowhere, and then realizing, oh wait, no, there is actually other bands in the scene. Like you mentioned, Cerebral Bore and
Mhm.
all those bands. It's like they do actually exist. It's just Party Cannon is the one that kind of rocketed the most.
Yeah. But as the old saying goes, rising tides raise all ships. When one ship goes up, everyone else is going to go up. And I
Hmm.
think Party Cannon, especially since they moved to Unique Leader and since they released the new album, it's a new wave of, I suppose, exposure for them. And as a result, people are going to look at Party Cannon and go, like you said, wait a minute, they're from Scotland? What the fuck? And then they'll dive deep into it and they'll find bands like Brain Bath, Coffin Mulch, Rancid Cadaver, Penny Coffin, Jaundice, Mutalith, all those guys. And it's just a giant like rabbit hole to dig deep into. And you'll spend hours just sitting in metal archives looking for Scottish metal bands. Again,
Hmm.
like a lot of bands like Jaundice, Ageless Summoning, even older ones like Laceration that aren't around anymore, Cerebral Bore. It would be incredible if they were just like, oh, hey, we're back now. Imagine. That's what we need.
Yeah.
This has got such an explosion. I'm waiting to see if any of those really old ones are going to kind of do a reunion or come out of the woodwork or something. Because obviously, like Score the Tour is another example. They've been around since 2007,
Hmm.
but obviously they kind of went on a hiatus after Mass Failure, and now they're back with new music and a new Instagram page, and the fourth album's in the works. And as more bands release more full lengths, because I know obviously like put this kind of big revival, Coffin Mulch was the first one to release a full length album with
Hmm.
Special Intercession. And I know that Brain Bath have new stuff in the works. Rancid Cadaver's got new stuff in the works in terms of full length. I know Jaundice is working in a new EP. I think Gaslight are as well,
Hmm.
but I'd need to, because Jaundice is another one that we're trying to get on the show, and that's something that I'm definitely going to ask them. And obviously, Jude's got Gaslight, and I'm sure a whole bunch of other shit.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really cool to just, I suppose, get the dirt and kind of figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
It's like I'll say this after we finished filming the Tyrannus episode. Callum was like, "You want to hear some new music?" And I'm like, does a bear shit in the woods?" Hell yeah, I do. And he played
Yeah,
me a new demo, and that's the first time that that's happened, and it's like, wow, now I know how journalists feel, except I'm not a lying piece of shit. You know what I mean?
yeah. Callum is genuinely like
Oh
big
God, yeah.
fucking shout outs to him. Like when we first started as a band, we were like the first person that noticed us was Gary, who plays in the band Trve, and love that man so much. And the first thing he said was like it was a demo video that we put up on our Instagram, and he was like, "Oh, these guys are fucking awesome. Would love to have them at some point, and hopefully we should have something soon to reveal with them and whatnot." And then Callum, someone eventually like asked him. I have a feeling it was Noah because I used
Mhm.
to talk to Noah pretty well, and life just happens and you split apart. But I actually don't know who it was, and it was on his like Wednesday Q&A and like band review thing. Someone put our name,
Mhm.
and he was just like, "I'm impressed for such a young band." And then as soon as like the opportunity for Sunken came up, we were I think it was Dundee Metal Fest, and we got the message walking back from Lidl, and I just ran into the venue, grabbed all the guys, and went, "Say yes right now."
Yeah.
And we eventually did, and like we had to wait ages for it because it was in May, and this was in like, December or something that we got the offer. But it was like just unexpected. Of like, here's your first sort of confirmed show, and it's with Sunken. And like that was the first show we got, and he was one of the first people to sort of give us any credit or like
Mhm.
discover us in any way.
Yeah.
So all of my appreciation, the band's appreciation, just goes to Tyrannus. Not only they've got excellent musicians, and I'm still gutted I've never got the chance to see them live yet.
You will
But they're
not regret
just
it.
oh
You will not regret it. It
yeah,
is such a good show. Callum's a great front man. He's an incredible vocalist, incredible guitar player, and one of the nicest people that I have ever spoke to, hands down. I've got
yeah,
nothing but love for that man.
yeah.
Anyway, just to because obviously no one wants a 3 hour video, and plus it's a nightmare to fucking render. Just before we wrap up here, let's kind of go over everything again, like future plans and stuff. Got that show with Sai, 14th of August, which will be in what, 2.5-ish, 3-ish weeks.
Yeah.
Got that at Cat House with Bronak as well. That's happening at Cat House with Sai Bronak. Get your tickets for that. It's going to be incredible, and definitely can't wait to hear more from both Mutalith, Bronak, and just all the other incredible bands in the scene. What's next after that? Is there anything in the pipeline? Any new
So
music in the works? That kind of thing?
yeah, so staying on like the line of Cypher a
Mhm.
moment, if you message the Mutalith page, my own personal page, or the Bronak page, you can buy tickets directly from us, which are cheaper than Ticketmaster. And they also we get a small cut of the actual profits made on it. So support local. Um, but no, for new stuff, we're hoping to get. We're in talks with Keep Chirping Records just now to get tapes out for the EP. Um, we tried to do a batch of shirts when we first came out.
Mhm.
We knew little to nothing. The print ended up being like really iffy because it didn't work with the artwork very well and whatnot. So we're actually looking into how to properly make shirts now. Um, so they should hopefully be coming soon. For shows, we've got a couple of ones that I'm not allowed to announce yet, but really want to. Um, we've got after Psy, we're in our broth for a charity gig in Andret's Bistro. It's going to be a small one. We've got a very, very good surprise cover for that one. Um, so yeah, it's a small venue, so you'd be very lucky if anybody gets to that one. Um, what else have we got? We've got Hordes on the 28th, I believe. 28th of September. Um, Looking forward to playing that. Finally get to see bands like Brain Bath and whatnot. We're on the main Saturday, so that's really awesome as well. We have another gig on the 14th of September, which I'm not allowed to announce, but that one's there's a date. And that's another Dundee one. And then we have also got, as far as I'm aware, just the one more, and that's Metal Fest in Dundee in Beat Generator in the 7th of December, I want to say. I'm terrible with dates right now.
It's fine.
And then, yeah, so we've got one more in November, which is waiting to be announced as well. And then hopefully we're looking to book our own show and find bands and whatnot to do stuff in Dundee as well in October.
Mhm.
So that's pretty much about it. It's a busy year.
Yeah, it's certainly sounding like it. I'll have a link to the Mutalith Instagram where you can find the link tree for everything, all that kind of stuff.
I'll
New
remember to
music,
update
new
that.
merch. It's going to be good, and
Yeah,
genuinely, I'm looking forward to see where you guys go. I'd like to
thank you.
thank everybody so much for watching. Thank you to Aidan for granting me his time and talking all things music and Mutalith. Everybody make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share it around, shove it in people's ear holes, face holes. If you go that way, bum holes, sure, whatever. We don't kink shame here. Thank you everyone for watching, and we will see you next time. Peace.